Fans hoping to see CM Punk back and WWE may get their wish as the two sides are in talks. In this video, I'm going to break down everything we know as of October 6, 2023. Because Punk, he's a free agent following his AEW release. Obviously, Punk was let go after his physical altercation, his backstage fight with Jack Perry at All In, and also his heated confrontation with Tony Khan. AEW president even went out on record and said that he feared for his life and he had to let the top star go. Now, look, Punk was interested in returning to WWE in December of 2022 with the idea of him working the men's Royal Rumble match that would eventually lead to him working the main event of night one of WrestleMania 39 just a few months later. Shawn Michaels, head of NXT Creative, he actually stated on a conference call in September that he would be open to having Punk back in WWE and having him in NXT if he so wished, but he thought, well, Punk would probably be used on the main roster. So fast forward, in the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer dropped some bombshell level news here and reported that Punk and WWE are in talks to see him make a return. However, there is a catch, and I'll get to that in a minute. But first, I want to ask you this. Who do you want to see CM Punk feud with first? My pick, I think it's Seth Rollins. If you recall, I believe it was January 2022. Maybe, yeah. Or this past January. Either way, he was speaking with Wrestling Inc. and it was asked, well, what do you think about Punk returning? And he's like, stay away, Phil. You're a cancer. Right? So I'd like to see that feud. Anyways, Meltzer reported that there are rumors that it's happening regarding a Punk WWE return. But those in WWE have only said that no deal is completed, and those close to Punk have told us that it is his intention to return to WWE, and the two sides are in talks. One would expect if a deal would be made, it would make sense for him to return at Survivor Series in Chicago in late November. Fast forward, House of Wrestling, Nick Hausman, who does a fantastic job and has really, really good sourcing regarding CM Punk and the EVPs and everything like that in AEW, aka the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. He reports that he was told that it's a safe bet to see Punk make his return at Survivor Series. Can you imagine that pop in Chicago when Cult of Personality hits? Punk walks out for the very first time since January of 2014 in a WWE ring. That pop is going to be insane, right? And I have stated that I did not think that Punk would return and wrestle in WWE. I think a deal gets made here. I think Punk got bit once again by the wrestling bug and wants to wrestle again, but he wants to do it at large money. And he doesn't want to go to New Japan. And so where does he go? Well, he goes to WWE. And from a business standpoint, it makes sense, right? It makes sense. And you treat CM Punk like a Goldberg, where, look, Phil, we don't want you to be a backstage leader. We don't want you to be involved with anything. Just come in, do your job, have fun, and leave and collect a check. And I think Punk is looking to do that. I think Punk wants to wrestle. He can still draw top money. He knows he can be a top star. And even though he ended things on bad terms, people overlook this fact with CM Punk and WWE. Look, he was beat up, he was injured, he was burnt out of the WWE grind at the end of his tenure. But when he walked out of that Monday Night Raw, it was because he felt trapped and in a corner and only saw one way out, which was leaving. He stated on the Colt Cabana podcast that he fully intended to return to WWE after WrestleMania when his suspension was up. The bad blood started once they fired the man on his wedding day. He talked about how Triple H had texted him saying, hey, can we talk? And he goes, hey, man, I am more than willing to talk, but I'm about to get married. Can we do it after the honeymoon? And he didn't get a response. That's on Triple H. That's not on CM Punk. firing him on his wedding day, that's on Vince McMahon. That's not on CM Punk. If you go back and you look at his comments on that Colt Cabana podcast, he didn't rip Vince McMahon, right? He ripped Ryback and he ripped the company, but he never went off on Vince. Now, did he disagree with a lot of things with Vince? Sure. Did he resent Triple H for burying him in the 2011 program or 2012 program? I think it was 2011, the fall of 2011, for coming out of retirement, beating him in a match, and then that was it. Yes, he resented him for that, but he didn't rip Triple H for that. So you got to keep in mind when you're talking about Punk and everything like that.